Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Listen to the people. Listen to humanity. Listen to the parrot. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV. Parrot TV.
World Inkers Monthly magazine is a fine source for your literary interests. It's an all-source magazine with poetry, prose, and essays and articles, as well as interviews. It's all full-color art and photography from a variety of voices and artists. You will find this magazine entertaining. This is an all-purpose readership, and we are looking for new voices. This sleek, full-color edition of World Inkers Monthly magazine will be something pleasant for your eyes as well as for your mind. And we're looking for authors for one book promotion in the magazine. If you're a business, we want to promote your business. You may submit your book reviews, your academic or non-academic articles on the humanities and the arts, as well as your literary writing and creative output to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. World Inkers Monthly magazine does not spare any ink. Keep inking for World Inkers Monthly magazine. Hi, welcome to World Inkers Network. I'm Dustin Pickering, your noble and honest host. Today we have Inga Zhghenti. She is a professor of English philology, translator, and editor. In 2017, she was awarded a PhD degree in English philology. Her dissertation, The Problem of Alienation in Samuel Beckett's Drama, analyzes the thematic and stylistic conceptualization of alienation in Beckett's plays in a chronological vision, from wordy plays to pantomime. The thesis investigates the links between alienation and absurdist perception of existence and their representation in Beckett's work. In 2021, Inga was a Fulbright visiting scholar at American Studies Program, School of Arts and Sciences at Stockton University in the USA. She did postdoctoral research on gender themes in Edward Albee's dramas and the interpretation of these themes in Georgian performance of Albee's plays. Inga as well holds lectures on her research and literary issues related to her research areas internationally. She has published a number of scholarly articles on Samuel Beckett, Edward Albee, existentialism, and the interrelations of philosophical postulates and literature. At the same time, Inga translates literature from English into Georgian and vice versa. Her most significant translations include Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot, Krapp's Last Tape, Literary Criticism, works by contemporary American poets such as Louise Gluck, Diane DiPrima, etc. She also serves as an editor-in-chief of English content for a number of international research organizations. Welcome to the show today, Inga. How are you doing?
Hello. Good morning there in the United States, and it's here to Tbilisi. Good evening. So I'd like to say good evening to Georgians.
Absolutely.
How are you?
Doing great. I'm glad to have you on the program today. So tell us a little bit about some of your work in the process of translation and you know, what do you find and what do you learn in translation of you know, because there's different cultural differences, linguistic differences. What do you find so from your native language, from English, that you would find interesting to talk about?
So firstly, I'd like to say that translation is definitely a tough and interesting process, and it involves many processes within that. And at the same time, many people argue about that there are not any theoretical backgrounds or postulates necessary related to translation, that you can go into something and you'll see yourself how it goes and how it works. But definitely, I disagree with that. Because firstly, I have to say that translation is understanding what is a different culture, and it's a cultural exchange and exchange of thoughts and exchange of ideas. And what you really see in that is that you go into that process. And firstly, before the translation, it's important to read that part, what you're up to and what you're about to translate. But of course, I would like to highlight some kind of theoretical backgrounds, for example, which are definitely important insights and definitely important highlights for me, which I take into consideration. For example, while I was reading Paul Auster a couple of days ago, he writes like this, that translation is participation of somebody's loneliness. And it's firstly, it's just coming across with somebody's thoughts and going deep into that. And I absolutely agree with this point that you become participant of that loneliness and of that realm and of that field of ideas and thoughts, and you deeply become part of that. At the same time, I would like to say that there are many ways of translating, but firstly, I agree with Eugene Naida's approach. This is dynamic equivalence, and I think that today's translation is much part of that dynamic equivalence, which means that not word by word translation, but it's definitely translation of that meaning and the message the part of the writing carries, and you have to direct it to the reader, to the audience of another language. And in that part, you translate the meaning and as well make it readable, and just readability is important in that sense. So it does not mean that you have to sacrifice some kind of opinions and change something. For example, Vladimir Nabokov, who translated some of Russian works into English, disagreed with that changes, translations, and translators definitely made in order to get some musicality. And he thought that this is equal to plagiarism, for example. But I definitely take and follow this Eugene Naida's approach of dynamic equivalence in my translation, for example, which means translation of meaning and what the idea and what the words carry there behind them, but not changing the writer's viewpoint in a sense. But you have as well to think about the reader, how readers and the readership will react to that point and get that readability. So as well, you have to translate its style and the form the writer has chosen. And you have to always try to maintain that writer and the writer's style in your translation and in your work of art. So definitely, I think that this is the most important thing you have to try to achieve. And it's really a tough and hard-working process you have to get through. Sometimes it happens that you think about one phrase, for example, how you can direct and translate and transform that in another language. Maybe 4 days, and for weeks it tortures and captures your mind. For example, I could say that in terms of, if we relate to English and Georgian, these languages have absolutely different structure. For example, Georgian is synthetic language. We have declension system here, which we don't have in English, and English is analytical language. And this is another that we have different areas of performances here. But when you translate something from English into Georgian or vice versa, you have to think that what you translate becomes natural and so natural in that language, for example.
That's very interesting. I love the fact that they're different languages myself, and then different structures. It makes life a little more spicy and interesting. So what was the process like for you becoming a Fulbright scholar, and what did you learn in traveling abroad?
Actually, it's for everybody, Fulbright scholarship. I could say that it's a lifelong experience, and it's not only the experience, but it's about the quality and the concept you gain with that. And my research there, which focused on gender representation of gender themes and issues, and Edward Albee's drama. And this is, I could say, that my postdoctoral research. As you already mentioned at the beginning, I did my research on alienation in Samuel Beckett's drama. Then I moved to looking at American drama and American drama of absurd. But when I came to that part, I decided to limit my research to the gender themes and issues in Edward Albee's plays, which are just definitely important and one of the central issues of his drama. And firstly, the competition here in Georgia and all over the world for this Fulbright competition for the Fulbright visiting scholars is really tough. You have to get through that, and it's really hard work. But after getting that, just it's part of dream. It was my lifetime dream to get that. So and that working with U.S. professionals, and I've made lots of friends in terms of my professional issues and in terms of my field, and just in the future, I'm in the process of working out some more projects in U.S. Georgia partnership, not only in terms of literary issues, but in terms of research and much other stuff going on there. So this is what you see there is that you get to different culture of the world, and you take what you have thought here in Georgia, for example, just on your own, done on your own, in your own room and research. But after that, when I got there, I looked at many things differently, firstly related to that research, and I definitely got tremendous, very significant experience related to research and approaches to research and how to look at literature from many different perspectives. So it's really an important part of my professional life already.
Excellent. That's wonderful. And congratulations. I mean, it is a lot of work, it sounds like, you know.
And it's something which never stops, for example, when you do research, and if you just see yourself in research and an academic part, it's something which never ends. If you are really born for that, and if you think that you want to pursue that in the future, so you work, and the work shows you that there is much more to do. And firstly, I would like to highlight that what I got there in the United States is that some stuff what I have looked at here in Georgia, for example, and some literary issues are different there in the United States, and there is a different, for example, American vision, for example. And mostly, I could say that in terms of Georgia, we do some criticism and research of English literature for some kind of European framework and European outlook, but American outlook as, for example, in terms of OB, what I have read in European criticism by English scholars and European scholars was something different, and Americans, when they became part of the Edward Albee Society, and they just gave me much of their hand and directed my research in some of the most important and significant parts, gave me some kind of different outlook. So in terms of criticism or whatever.
Very interesting. What brought you to study literature originally?
So I could say that I've always loved literature since my childhood. So since my family. So firstly is that you become part of many different lives, yeah? So when you read literature, it means that, I don't remember, but it's somebody said that you have many different lives when you love literature and you're into literature, so your life is more interesting, definitely. So literature is part of life, I could say so, that you go deep into that, and you not only just look at yourself, you find yourselves there, and many different selves you have. You find the structure of your thoughts or whatever, so comes into coincidence with your life, and you find many questions are still unanswered. So you learn that there are more and more questions which are provoked in literature. So it's firstly, it's a quest, what you get there.
Absolutely. Quest and question.
Yeah, quest and question, right, so, yeah.
And a more specific question I would have is when did you become interested in existentialism and the absurd, and what was it that provoked your interest in that?
So definitely I started when I did my MA thesis in existentialism and absurd drama. So it was wider.
Mhm.
And then I went to Samuel Beckett, and I came to Samuel Beckett, and I did my PhD on alienation, or the topic of alienation, and Samuel Beckett's absurdist drama. So the more I went into that and existentialism issues and alienation, I came up to that idea and perception that I have been, however, directed by those issues and by those thoughts and by those concepts in my life as well. So it has become part of my life since that. And the more I do in that part, I realize that the more there is to be done. And firstly, what I like about absurdist drama and Samuel Beckett's drama, is that here is the reconceptualization of philosophical issues, and that existentialist questions which are provoked and asked human existentialism philosophy in terms of human relations and human existence in this world, and how this is brought on the stage and how this is brought in text, for example. And in terms of Olby's drama, for example, which Americans themselves consider not as part of absurd drama, but they consider it existentialist drama. It has been developed on a different routes in the context of the United States of America, where there was no loss of meaning in terms of that we had in Europe after World War II, and definitely after World War II and World War I, but most specifically after World War II. We didn't have that context in the United States of America. And there, the dramatists like Olby, for example, developed on the positioning of American dream and cynical attitude at the idea of American dream, that what it really meant, it did not bring the things that what it had been meant for and what it was for. So if you look at absurd and absurdist theater and the concept of absurd and absurdism and nothingness, for example, in European drama, we can take Beckett, for example, and in American drama, if we take Olby, of course, they do share certain and very important concepts of the loss of meaning and nothingness and absurdism and alienation, but in different perspectives. With Olby, this is broader, I could say, in terms of the loss of life and the loss of meaning, which is more global. But in Olby's drama, there is existentialist crisis related to some misconception and misunderstanding of material values, which were understood in American dream, for example, which were just given to society as a kind of hope or this new start, and it actually failed, for example.
Interesting. That sort of kind of goes back to the concept we were talking about translation and the differences in cultural contexts and things of that nature. So I'm curious, in your opinion, what role does contradiction play in the absurd?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
What role does contradiction play in the absurd? So my impression of the absurd is, as you mentioned, it's like there's like a conflict of positions, I guess you could say, like, the different point of views and things like that, and how it's hard to really conceptualize something like in a figurative sense. So what do you think the role of contradiction is in the absurd?
So firstly, we have to look at the philosophical and some conceptual backgrounds of that absurd and absurdism, and where it started and how it started and how literature and what literature took from this philosophy. So existentialism is first of all the philosophy of contradictions, and the first and the utmost contradiction, I could say the eternal contradiction, is the gap between the human possibility and the human reality, what you really want, and the reality what is offered to you. So this is the biggest contradiction. And as well, there is another contradiction, which is the loss of some kind of transcendent roots. And this was caused by the too much technological progress at the same time, as well the crisis and intellectual crisis and human crisis after world wars and what we are facing as well today. And these all just facts and reality directed this philosophy to rethinking all the other philosophical issues such as rationalism, for example, the belief in the ideal of Hegel, for example, and existentialism as a philosophy itself just disconnects and abandons the belief that there is any kind of rational explanation to human existence. So this is the biggest contradiction as well. So, and actually what we see in Beckett's drama, for example, we find humans and we look at people who are deprived of any sense of meaning because they can't find and establish their real selves, and because the self as well is deconstructed. We see that realization in terms of form and language, because language as well, an absolutist drama has lost its communicational value. It's the first and foremost value that it's a means of communication, and they communicate, but their dialogues are as well deprived of any logical coherence, what we see. And if I compare, for example, Olby and Beckett in terms of that, so we have so many things in terms of lack of cohesion and logical dialogues in Beckett, and this is done absolutely on purpose, and this is the choice of the writer. But in Olby's plays, we don't have that. We have absolutely logical dialogues, and they follow the structure and they are meaningful, but behind this meaningfulness, we see absolute nothingness, that people there in American reality, for example, are deprived of finding their real value in life. They might have some kind of economical and material things and stuff, and what they see is that money can bring everything, and they want to believe in that, but finally this belief turns out to be absolute failure. So this is the difference. And here with Beckett, for example, Beckett's plays are lonely, and they are totally lonely and absolutely alienated and deprived of any meaning, because there is no meaning, and absurd is the real meaning of life, as there is the belief.
Interesting. We're going to take a brief break, but we'll return back with some of your work and some of your translations.
Okay, thank you.
World Inkers Monthly magazine is a fine source for your literary interests. It's an all-source magazine with poetry, prose, and essays and articles, as well as interviews. It's all full-color art and photography from a variety of voices and artists. You will find this magazine entertaining. This is an all-purpose readership, and we are looking for new voices. This sleek, full-color edition of World Inkers Monthly magazine will be something pleasant for your eyes as well as for your mind. And we're looking for authors for one book promotion in the magazine. If you're a business, we want to promote your business. You may submit your book reviews, your academic or non-academic articles on the humanities and the arts, as well as your literary writing and creative output, to publication.worldinkers@gmail.com. World Inkers Monthly magazine does not spare any ink. Keep inking for World Inkers Monthly magazine. Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer. This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely convince you. Welcome back to World Inkers Network. Today we have Inga Zhghenti, and she's going to read us some of her wonderful and fascinating work. So go for it. If you have something available, just let us know what you're going to read, and we'll love to hear it.
Hello again. So now, as we are just in the process of this devastating tragedy in Ukraine, and I would like to mention as well that Georgia is internationally recognized as the 20% of our country's territory occupied by Russian military and by Russia. Firstly, I would like to read one of my recent translations, written by Georgian poet and wonderful translator Georgi Lobzhenidze. And this reflects the tragedy of Mariupol in Ukraine, the coastal city which has been under Russian attack for so many days already. So let me read my translation in English of this Georgian poem. A human at some time, maybe life before the bombardment really starts from the theater ruins. When something, once a human, moves there under the pieces of masks. Before the bombardment, there are children in the basement. Will the basement stand the bombardment? Where has the underground angel gone? Maybe the underground angel became a devil. A curtain is swinging to and fro in a smashed open window of a bombed apartment building. The room is lolling out its curtain tongue at tyrants to tell them a completely different performance, featuring dolls with their limbs turned off, eyes hollowed out, disemboweled, is about to start behind the curtains. An insane tall fair lady comes striding in the rooms of the city, clasping a doll with cold gaze, hands turned off, and singing so. Lullaby and good night, my dear doll. May you sleep and rest, no worries at all. We've lost our flat, cozy and warm. Don't think I'm weak to bear this pain. Don't think small nations are not strong and brave. With 9 lives as cats, 9 times we die. You'll be drawn like rays at the dawn in the sky. Mom's chest is a shelter, sweet for you and blessed. Another Ukraine, another homeland welcomes you to guest. The woman is singing here, and down there in the broken pieces of masks in the basement, a new life is shifting, stretching out tender fingers towards the future, clutching onto the air as it were Mom's chest, from which the truth was, there are no angels in the underworld. Oh God, there you are to be found in the basement of the theater of Mariupol.
Wow.
So this is what I wanted to share, which expresses that today what we see and we're facing now in Ukraine. So I think that the world tried to do its best and maximum to make this to an end.
Mm-hmm. Would you like to read that in Georgian as well?
I think English will be enough.
Okay.
I will read some other poetry as well in English or both. How much time do we have, by the way?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Okay, so now I will decide what I can read in 10 minutes. So first, I would like to read some brief extracts from the 19 Pantherskind Linkoffin's wonderful translation of this poignant story, epic story in Georgian, which is definitely a masterpiece in the world literature. And it was written in the 12th century at the advent of Georgian Renaissance, which then stopped because of some foreign invasions. And but I would like to take this very opportunity and as well thank Linkoffen, which I think that you know, for this amazing and wonderful work. And I will read some brief extracts from there. So here I've got some of that. The first one is I would. Because this is a story, a poignant story of friendship and eternal friendship. So this is an extract from the story of Aftandil's return to Arabia. A friend should spare himself no earthly trouble bearing a friend's load. He should give heart for heart, unroll his love for both bridge and road. A lover should take the grief of another lover as if owed. That's why I considered myself a traitor to our friendship's code. And another one I would like to read, this is on death and sacrifice. A narrow or rocky land cannot keep death making his claim. By death all are leveled, the weak and the strong-hearted are the same. In the end, young and old lie in the ground and lose their fame. It's better to die a glorious death than to live in shame. So Lincoln's wonderful work and translation just repeats and preserves that musicality and follows Rustaveli's rhyme and meter, and as well preserves the meaning and thought. And it's, I could say that one of the best translations in terms of that. If we get back to Eugene Naida's dynamic equivalence, for example. And Linkoffen himself considers that this work by Rustaveli, by Shota Rustaveli, just equalizes with Shakespeare as we get.
We lost you on the sound there.
That scene and completely indulged and involved in that scenario, what's going on here, and in terms of its language, just perfection. 12th century, so it's really a poignant story and wonderful translation in English.
Yeah, it is. I've
okay.
read much of it myself. It's beautifully done.
Yes, wonderful. Okay, I would like to read another poem by Georgian writer, and it's my translation. It's Galaktion Tabide, 10th century Georgian poet, and amazing and very significant poet and important in Georgian poetry, and not only Georgian poetry. So this is as well a brief part of that wonderful poem, Snow. I tried to preserve the musicality of how it is used in Georgian and how it sounds in Georgian. So shall I start?
Yes.
I'm deeply in love with that violet snow, falling from the bridge still unconcerned, that grieving feeling of cold wetness, starving of the love unanswered. Oh dear, my soul is filling with snow. The days are rushing and make me older. Though the desert upholstered in velvet, I walk lonesome and I get colder. Oh, this is the way how life in tears, life treats me. By winter, I'm truly befriended. But your hands, as pale as snow, will never doomed to be neglected. Oh dear, I'm captured by vision of your hands. Those leaned and tried in this laurel-like snow, and your headcraft sparkles, vanishes and sparkles, flashing like a lightning, disappearing though. That is the reason for my fondness of snow, falling from the bridge, violet and unconcerned, that grieving feeling of rushing and strolling, rows of irises setting and turning. It's snowing, and the memory of such day brings me in my dreams blue and tired, if I ever manage to escape from winter, if by the wind I ever get betrayed.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Yes, it's as well too beautiful in Georgian. So let me read one more from two more poems.
Okay.
One is too long, I could say 7-page. It has 7-page length, but I will read just the beginning. It's as well my recent translations, and I love that song too much. And the author of this song is again Zhghenti, who translated the Holy Quran into Georgian. And as well, he translates from Arabic language, and he's as well a very important poet of contemporary Georgian poetry. And the poem is called The Arabic Teacher. So what is poignant here and what is amazing and fascinating in the story is that it's based on some kind of language category and language categorization and the connection of language and love, how the structure of language and how the just character of language bear the voices and the character and features of love. So they are interconnected, and as well it brings into Georgian poetry the sense of that exquisite Eastern culture and spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's called The Arabic Teacher. I will just read a very brief part of that. The Arabic Teacher. Let me be your Arabic teacher to teach you how to conjugate love in all the 3 tenses in a simple way, as there is no category of tense in Arabic grammar, and accordingly, nothing is categorized as present, past, or future. And here rattle pastless presents and futureless pasts, and the human is hanging topsy-turvy in a crackling fire of a dazzling line killing. I am your Arabic teacher, and we start everything not with a word, but with doing. The stem fa'ala means to do in Georgian. Let's conjugate the verb to do in all the 3 tenses, pastless present and the presentless past and future without past and present. The stem fa'ala will intriguously swirl between us. Let's read pre-Islamic Arabic poetry of the age of ignorance, of the period of human darkness, risen and shining from its darkness, like an auburn camel swinging tardedly in a desert, where it's still dark, till the full moon shines over us, till the lonely and ominous sword of the half moon has not yet started blazing in the sky. Let's read Quran that lit the age of ignorance with its divine fine surahs. And there we have surahs here and some other poet, but I would like to read the final poet of this poem, which as well just features American skyscrapers and the tragedy of terrorist attack of September the 11th. Just let me give a second.
Mm-hmm. This is World Inkers Network. Thanks for watching, guys. After our viewership, thank you very much for watching. Whenever you're ready, Inga.
Yeah, I'm just reading the final part of this poem, okay? Okay, yes, I will start here. There is an extract from Quran, and the Quran says so. To God belong the east and the west, wherever you turn. There is the face of God, wherever you turn, wherever you see, whatever you touch, God's presence is here. It's God's handiwork, I knew that, oh God, I was taking a photo on that day, relaxed, not even looking back in awe. I even knew that the word picture means face in Arabic. And as for Georgian, you know what it means, a photograph or a photo. It is that what has remained from me after you ran over my face alive by a plane, scratching and tearing me away as haven, in the heart of which you reign. Hiru Umika, ours or fuck you. This is how Al-Mashriq and Al-Maghrib collocate. And who'd complain of an American, even an Arab, of course has forgotten the Arabic language, the one the God distinguished from the other languages. As for what it was distinguished from the other languages, for its accuracy, and for its beauty in accuracy, when a language can be so accurate to resemble the embrace, hugging and not crushing. As in fact you crush when you want to embrace. I used to be your Arabic teacher. I taught you how to belly dance, how to sit on a camel, how to recline, how to carry on easy conversations in this manner. Oh, how God created the universe and books in this universe, and a plane, a victim, an executioner. God created a disciple, and moreover, God created such an Arabic teacher. Let me be your Arabic teacher. So this is the end, and the final of this poem just features the 11th of September, the terrorist attack, and how just God can, just and the power of God can change everything in one day, and how it can be intermingled with the idea of love.
Wow, that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, it's really an amazing poem. Yeah, as I mentioned, it gets together the structure of language and how it can be idealized with the idea of love in general. Yeah, and as well just that everything ends in that sense, and the only thing which can make sense is love. Okay, do I have time to share just
we're cutting in. We're actually a little over time, but if you'd like to share some final words with our viewers, then you have a little time for that.
Yeah, this is just one more poem, which is as well my translation. It's about alienation, my favorite topic in literature. So this poem is by Lester, as well, contemporary Georgian poet. And the title of this poem is Alienation. And I could say a few words about the poem before I read it. So it looks at it shares the feeling of loneliness and as well the loss of human self in this world of technology and technological progress, and how it can vanish our spiritual part, and how we can be in the tragedy of finding our deconstructed selves and in different areas, and still how it can become impossible or difficult in today's toughest period. So the title, it's just a very recent translation. I finished it some minutes ago before our program. Alienation. The lemon gives its creeps to the tea sugared abundantly. The age translates life's misunderstandings into bed of roses. Every day, we go out on the streets to build the same roads, crossing one another in the bed of iron and concrete. I feel so estranged in my city that none of the dogs can recognize me. I avert my eyes from my acquaintances. You are obliged to smile, to and give regards, and listen to words on weather and health with no meaning. Scratch your eyes with dog Latin. When will it be taken to music? And those delicate nuances as spring and autumn have been accidentally swallowed by the business of worn-out cars. Till the man who taught me what the moon of Lemon was like and painted limitless emotions with appropriate blood. For a little while those days were tough. For a little while they were sweet. The creep was permanent. I felt good. So this is what
Wow, thank you so much. Would you like to share any shout outs or any thank yous to fans and supporters and friends in the conclusion of the program today?
Yes, I would like to thank you for this very opportunity. Definitely, it's a very big honor to be part of this program and to share some of my thoughts and ideas, and as well as some of my work and translations of Georgian poetry into English. I hope that the audience as well enjoyed, and there will be more in the future to come. Thank you all the viewers for your time and for your consideration. And thank you very much for very interesting questions and for very interesting participation and cooperation and involvement in this program together.
Well, thank you, Inga. It's been really pleasant talking with you. It's wonderful to have you on the program today. And if you know anybody there in Georgia that would like to be on the program, just send them our way. We'd be more likely to have them on. We'd love to talk with them about literature and the arts.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. This has been World Inkers Network, and I'm Dustin Pickering. And remember, you can support our program in many different ways. You can submit some money to us to help us continue our programming and keeping it as cost-free as possible at paypal.me/nyparrot. That's paypal.me/nyparrot. And if you don't have the money, that's fine. You can we can also subscribe to our channel on YouTube and follow us on Facebook and like, share, and comment on our works and our programming. And we'd love to have some comments and questions if you have for our guests anytime. And if you want to be a guest on the program, that's another way you can support us. You can get in touch with me, Dustin Pickering, at literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. Send a brief bio and a headshot with a couple of your samples of your work, and we will put you on the show in whatever date is convenient for you, provided that it's an open date. So just get in touch with us at literarycorner@newyorkparrot.com. This has been an excellent program today. And remember, World Inkers Monthly Magazine, March edition, Women's Empowerment issue is coming out soon. We're still working on that. It will be out very soon. And we have some excellent work in there, some poetry and some wonderful essays and artwork as usual, as in our first edition. And if you didn't buy our first edition, we'd love to get, you just have to have a copy. It's wonderful. It's beautiful looking, and it has a very nostalgic feel, and it's a beautiful, beautiful book. It's a beautiful little magazine, and you guys got to get a copy of that. It's available on Amazon for $15. We'd love for you guys to have a copy, and you can also buy our anthologies, Series 1 and Series 2. And so please do so if you want to support us. Those are available on Amazon. Thanks for watching the program today. And if you haven't done any reading or writing today, it's time for that special. Do you know that there is a Get to Writing? Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.